Alright guys, so now let's talk about the webinar broadcast page. We already have the lead capture, we already learned everything about this, and now this is the webinar broadcast page. So enter the editor and let's wait for a load. Okay, first thing I'm gonna delete this guy, I don't need you anymore. Delete, there you go. And here, let me close this guy. Okay, what we have here, this is an iframe, all right? So this is an iframe and this is a box. And this iframe is inside this box, okay? Cool, and inside this iframe, we're gonna have the video and we're gonna have the chat happening right here inside this iframe. So that's why it's important not to have a small iframe, all right? That's going to be the webinar page, and then you can delete this guy. You can have your call to action also showing here if you want it, or you can just have on the webinar chat, right? If you want to have the call to action showing here, just like this, you can just click on the button. The link on the button is actually the offer page, is already good for you. And then right click, bring it up, and then let's see here, animation, all right? And then animation, we can put animation by time to start. Let's start this guy in, I don't know, let's give some time. Let's put this guy 600 seconds to start, right? That's going to be a fading, speed is low, and it's all good. If you want to see the animation, how that works, you will see here how the animation works, something like this. All right, so I'm gonna put fading because this is going to be out of the page, it's not going to be showing, and he's going to fade in 600 seconds after the webinar started. All right, and that's it. So I have the animation of this guy. It's here on the editor all the time because I need to work with this guy, but once we load the page, let's go to the preview. You are not going to see the button here. It's going to show also only when we have 600 seconds on this page. All right. Okay. Now this animation is about the time you are on the page. So in that case, 600 seconds after I enter the page. And the animation you are going to have for the call to action button inside the webinar, if you guys remember, it was about 10 minutes after the webinar started. And that one is going to go with the video. If people stop the video, it's going to stop the time. So it's going to be 10 minutes of video, okay? And this is going to be according to the time you are on the page. So you choose the one you're gonna use, okay? Now listen, this webinar, we have to bring the code of the webinar we just built. So let's go there. Webinar, there you go. Open the webinar. So the webinar, it's 100% done. We don't have to do anything else. We already have the content. We already have this thing happening 3 times a day, every single day. We already know how this room is going to look like. We already have the emails set up. We already have the forms. We already have everything on the webinar. We don't have to do anything. Now, what you have to do is you have to click here on the code, get the webinar URL. All right, so this URL is actually the URL of the webinar. If you put the URL here, you will see the webinar there. This is the whole thing is a webinar. Let me put my name, and there you go. You are going to see the timer, and nothing's happening until the webinar starts. All right, okay. So I don't want to have this thing here. I want to have this URL here. I'm gonna go back to Tira. This is an iframe. Settings, I'm gonna use the URL and boom, and there you go. I have my new webinar here. Okay, let me open the sidebar so you guys can see. Right click and general settings, and that's the webinar URL. Apply, and everybody's happy. If you want to make sure this is your webinar, just go to preview, put your name here. And there you go. Here you have your webinar on screen. All right, back to editor, save, and wait a minute. We are not done yet. Very important. Very important. Okay, now once we have everything done here, we gotta go to the smartphone version. and make sure everything's working fine as well. All right, so that's the iframe box. If you feel like every single time that you put an iframe on your website, go to the mobile version and see the size. So I'm going to give a right click here. It's going to open the pop-up, right? And then minimum size. I can adjust the minimum size of the iframe because sometimes it's like this. Sometimes it's like this, guys, all right? Because it's a small iframe. So you gotta make sure that you have a good, decent size of the iframe here. So for example, in this case, 480 is good, a good size for a smartphone, all right? Or whatever. You can do just like something like this. It's going to be better on your smartphone. Anyway, when people start watching the video, they click the button, the video is going to take the whole screen, so no matter, right? But make sure the iframe, or sometimes when you have something here online on smartphones and doesn't look good or doesn't look right, what you have to do is adjust the minimum size. All right, okay guys, now we're good. Go back to desktop. This size is good. Go back to desktop and then save. And then that's fine. We are good. We are happy. The webinar broadcast page is done. All right. Let's see. Lead capture done. Webinar registration done. Indoctrination done. And broadcast done. So we used the Telegram and the mockup editor here. We use the webinar form here, and we learned how to do the magazine to put here. On this one, we learned how to do the chatbot, and this one we are using our own webinar. Next video, offer page, and then actually the hard work is done. All those other videos will be way better and way easier and faster. All right, guys, take care. See you next video.